Thanks for listening to Uncle Sam's Soccer Podcast, keeping you up to date with the latest in American soccer. And don't forget to subscribe.
On this edition of Uncle Sam's Soccer Podcast, it's a Premier League special. We discuss Americans in the Premier League and expectations for them. We also talk about NBC and their new television strategy. And finally, we take a look at the Premier League and break down big topics. All this on the next episode of Uncle Sam's Soccer Podcast.
Hello and welcome to Uncle Sam's Soccer Podcast. It's a Premier League special. I'm Steven Jotter and
I'm Armand Kafai.
Oh, you're
I cut you off. I'm sorry, man.
Cut me off just like that.
Yeah, I
Great.
had to.
Give us a subscribe on iTunes, Google Play. Follow us on Twitter at Unc Sam Soccer Pod. Do all that because you won't regret it.
Yeah, you won't. But I'm regretting being here right now. I'm really tired.
Excuses. Premier League special. Yeah, so much to discuss. There are 5 Premier League players who are American.
Wow. That's a lot.
All on separate teams, too.
That's good. It's going to be interesting to see how they all perform.
Yeah, absolutely.
Especially a big year coming up, too.
Yeah, it's a big World Cup year, and I think every player is aiming for success, especially to get on that final 23. And these players here are all at different ages, different timetable as far as it comes to their career and selection for the men's national team and representation.
Right.
It is a little bit all over the map. But let's begin with Jeff Cameron, who went to Stoke City in 2012 from the Houston Dynamo. It's just like Stoke City has done this more than once. Juan Agudelo,
Breck Shea,
they all made that leap.
Except Agudelo never got that work permit. That's why he was never able to go to Stoke.
Do you think he would have been successful?
I'm not sure, honestly. He's kind of, everyone sees his potential, but right now I don't see much in him. I think he would have been okay, but I think he would have been much better off not going to the Premier League. I mean, the Premier League for some Americans is where their dreams die, basically.
Mm-hmm. Do you know where Jeff Cameron started?
In college, right?
Yeah, but do you know where he went after that?
No.
USL Premier Development League, Rhode Island Stingrays.
Really?
Yeah, and then he finally was drafted by the Dynamo in 08.
I guess that's a way to say the draft works, you know? I hate the draft, but I'd say it works. He's been one of the staples of the Stoke City backline for so many years now.
Mm-hmm. Isn't it weird, though? He went to college, and now he's playing in the Premier League. You don't often see that league.
We have another guy on our list that's the same thing. Yedlin went to Akron.
Yeah.
And with the Sounders and whatnot, and now he's playing the Premier League. It's really cool to see these guys get drafted and go to the Premier League. I still hate the draft and I still hate some of college soccer, but at the same time, you can't say it's not working when you have a couple of America's finest players playing in the Premier League that are drafted from college.
He's coming closer to Clint Dempsey's record as an outfield American player with the most appearances in the Prem.
He's a staple of their back line. If you're going to watch a Stoke City game, you're going to see Jeff Cameron in the back line.
Yeah. It's going to be a huge year for this Massachusetts native. We got to give a shout out to the guy from Attleboro. But he made the leap. Stoke City, he's vital to the success. He's a regular starter.
For a mid-table club.
And Stoke City have talent. Let's not forget, Stoke City is one of those clubs that have tended to underachieve.
Right.
When it comes to their Premier League. Because they can beat Manchester United and beat Manchester City, but then they can turn around and lose to Burnley.
Exactly.
Or Swansea City.
Exactly. And like I said, they're a quality team. They always purchase, players that are of quality. They just can never get into the top half or compete for a spot in Europe, ever.
Well, the Premier League is such a cluster bleep this season with the amount of spending, and now you can add Everton into the 6, so now it's like really 7 clubs. Stoke City could so happen to have could finish 8th place, and that's no higher. They cannot get any higher than that.
Potentially, but I mean, we'll see. I think
I don't know why we're talking about Stoke City. It should be focused on Jeff Cameron.
Exactly, that's what I'm about to say. Jeff Cameron, back to him. You have to say he's a for sure starter in the 2018 World Cup.
Huge guy, big guy. So he's good in the air. He's solid defender.
Good
he's
with
versatile. Now, do you think Jeff Cameron? Because I've been reading stuff where he could start centrally in the midfield, maybe be more of a defensive mid. Because he plays that position where he could be center back. To me, he's always struck me as a center back. I don't feel like he pinpoints passes like you think he does. Because there's often times in the U.S. men's national team where he launches a pass, and he is surrounded at Stoke City with better quality. So it's easy to get the ball to Shaqiri.
Right.
And he's going to be able to do stuff with it that you don't see. Christian Pulisic's the exception. But is Michael Bradley going to do the dancing that Shaqiri or Bojan does?
No. My thing is I don't see him as a D mid at all. I see him more as a center back. I mean, some people put him at fullback. Again, he's most confident at the center back position
because he's a big guy. He's not pacey, so he's not gonna be able to fly up and down the flanks like Yedlin.
Exactly. This is why I think the United States should switch to a 3-back line. They have plenty of quality center backs that they could play. Now imagine Cameron with Brooks. And you could add maybe Omar Gonzalez into the mix for 3 center backs. So it's one of the positions that U.S. is really deep at.
And they always have tended to be deep at that position.
Exactly. And Jeff Cameron is not an exception. He's been a fantastic player. I just don't like him at D-mid. I don't like him at fullback. I want him to be my center back. I want him to be my center back. And maybe that 3-back line makes something. Bruce Arena did that against Mexico. If you remember, they ran a 3-back line.
Yeah.
And it worked. So, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if the United States ran it again. And I hope they change and follow the trend that's going on in soccer where a lot of teams are going back to that 3-back line, like trying to replicate Chelsea's success.
I mean, 165 Premier League appearances for Stoke. Or actually league appearances. Yeah, Premier League appearances for Stoke.
It's crazy.
It's crazy. That's a huge number. I mean,
I feel like he's a little underrated by Americans.
He's hugely underrated. I don't know why. He's not flashy, but he plays for Stoke City. This is not a club that's surviving every year. This is a club that's in the Premier League consistently.
Exactly.
And willing to spend money on not world-class talents, but
quality players.
Exactly. Bojan, Shaqiri. I mean, Stoke City at one point fielded more players who had won the Champions League than some of the Big Four, the Big Six.
Exactly. And the fact that when I saw that number, I was surprised. I was like, 165, that is an insane amount. But we don't hear about that all the time with American media and whatnot. We're all hyped.
We were talking to Jeff on the previous show, and he was talking about the Pulisic jerseys and stuff. You'll see every now and then a Cameron.
Yeah, but
that's it.
But the guy who does the dirty work never gets the credit that he deserves.
No, but he's gonna have to have a massive year. He is vital to Stoke City and the U.S. men's national team.
Absolutely, he's a key for both.
All right, moving on to the Magpies. DeAndre Yedlin, who's a pacey fullback.
Dude, he is so fast. Like, I'm not exaggerating when I say he's so fast. You watch his film, he just is a blitz up and down the field. I mean, I think Klinsmann had him at midfield for the longest time, and Arena had him at fullback now. And I think fullback's the right position for him. I think he's slowly getting better on his one-on-one defending and his defending in general, because I mean he was a really raw fullback coming out of college and the MLS. He uses pace to outpace people and come back on defense, but he wasn't the greatest one-on-one defender. I think that year in the championship helped him out. I think a year with Newcastle was great.
Rafa Benitez.
Absolutely, and Rafa Benitez, fantastic manager. So,
fantastic, sure.
For the championship,
okay. For the funny thing is, the championship had last season 2 Champions League winners in it. That's
crazy.
But Rafa Benitez has definitely, I think, developed Yedlin that you didn't see. I think Klinsmann was right to have him on the 14 World Cup roster.
Oh yeah, I agree, 100%. I think he was
he was a star, and he was a talking point, and that's what the men's national team needs. You need names with some sort of recognition.
Right, and DeAndre Yedlin, I mean, you can recognize him through his hair. You can recognize him through his play because he's the one fast guy in the pitch that you'll see. He's running up and down the flanks. And the thing is, what he's really good at, and what he was good at when he was in MLS as well, it wasn't his defending. It was the ability to pump balls into the box. To pump balls into the box, head them in, or not head them in, but provide service for somebody to head it in. And he did that. If you watch a lot of the Newcastle film that has been posted, all you see is him crossing in balls, but them hitting the post so many times. Like, he could have had, like, double-digit assists, but you should post. Like, he creates opportunities on that wing. I mean, we didn't see that many opportunities being created in the Gold Cup through the fullbacks, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, and, let's not forget DeAndre Yedlin started with Seattle, right?
Yeah.
He's 24 now. He went to Tottenham, was on loan at Sunderland.
Right.
Went back to Tottenham and Newcastle bought him. So he played, but that derby up there is huge. So he's played both sides. Well, right. He hasn't played on the Newcastle side when they're playing Sunderland, but he's played for both clubs. That's a weird point to think about. But he had, that Premier League taste while on Sunderland. I don't think he was necessarily ready. But now, after spending the time in the Championship, he's going to be a regular. And I wonder if Tottenham regret his sell.
I mean, I don't know if they'll regret it, but he's slowly evolving into a player I think people envisioned him to be 3-4 years ago. Which, I mean, people have unrealistic expectations, but I think right now he's a more complete player, and I think even just this 1 year in the Premier League, maybe another one, is going to help him develop a lot.
And Klinsmann is right. I think that when he was as the manager of the U.S. men's national team, Klinsmann was right in the sense that players need to play European football, European soccer. The Premier League is perfect. Look at how Cameron has developed. Now, the thing is, if you had more players in the Premier League, in the Bundesliga, in the Serie A, it's a question for another day, but I think the quality of the squad improves. And then these players are used to playing with players who are better. But when you switch back and forth from MLS to Premier League and you have this mixture of a squad, I think the MLS game is slower. So DeAndre Yedlin, Jeff Cameron, Danny Williams, Heidman, they're used to a quicker, pacier game. So Yedlin is going to come in and suddenly play with the men's national team. It's not as quick, and it changes. I think he in MLS was a good jumping off point, but I think it slowed him down a little bit in his growth because Klinsmann saw his potential, and I was hoping, or we should have hoped, that he made the move right out of high school or right out of college.
I mean, he probably didn't have that interest, if you're going to be honest here.
Nobody, and his interest was created because of the World Cup
and the national team.
When Klinsmann brought him on as a substitute,
and he was a pacey, just
Portugal, and he was
destroying the wings. Is crazy, and he's going to be vital for the World Cup, I think, as well. He's a starter.
He's a starter. He has to come back healthy, and he's going to get plenty of opportunity with Newcastle. He just needs to stay healthy and just be who he is. He cannot stress out. And at 24, he still has room to improve.
Oh yeah, I mean, I think he's a fantastic player, and I think he'd be a perfect wingback in that 3-back line that I was talking about. I think he'd be a perfect wingback going up and down the pitch. He has the energy to do that, and he has the pace. And he's now a more accomplished defender, and he has that attacking work rate too. So I think he'd be. I'm telling you, I think this 3-5-2 or whatever 3-back line Bruce Arena wants, I think it would work for.
Yeah, no, Yedlin and Cameron. I mean, these guys defensively will have seen the best of the best.
Right.
And they're not going to, I think, sometimes with the men's national team. Because these Premier League players, yes, they're going to gun for an important, but none of them are on a team that's going to win the Premier League, win the Champions League. Maybe Stoke City could win the FA Cup or the domestic cup.
Go like Europa.
Or Europa. Now, we'll talk about Cameron Rickers because he plays for Tottenham, but we don't even know if he's going to get that regular opportunity. Right. So throw him out. But the other 4, none of them are going to win anything. So what they want to do is have a healthy, successful season so they can gun for that World Cup roster. But the World Cup roster is a real issue for another day.
Yeah.
Moving on, Danny Williams, who was promoted who actually wasn't promoted. But
he actually played against Huddersfield Town.
That's funny.
In the playoff.
He played against Huddersfield Town in the playoff final, and Reading lost. So he made the move on a free transfer. So
right,
he's
exactly.